You're listening to Lemon's Listening Library. Discover the story behind the stories with unique and raw conversations from the people who make your favorite books a reality.
I do my job really, really well enough. People don't need to know who I am. They're like, wow, that book was great, and I've made the author shine. And they move on to the next book by that author. That's how I view it. But I'm really, really thrilled when people are like, oh, I really want to hear that narrator again. I was like, oh, that's awesome. But I'm happy to make the author shine.
I feel like it depends on like the consumer too, because like Kathy, she will, if she likes the voice, she will go and find based off the narrator, all the stuff the work that they've done, not necessarily just the author.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rarely by the author, actually. Except Jed and Lexi. Then that's like the exception, but otherwise, pretty much by the narrators for sure.
I'm the same way too, though, because like there's certain voices, like if I can't get into the voice, then I'm like, okay, I can't necessarily continue books that they do. But if I like the voice and I'm like, this is very entertaining, I'm hooked, I can pay attention, I can listen. Yeah, I want to know the narrator. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump in and get started, guys.
All right.
Welcome to Lemon's Listening Library. I am Randy Lemons, fantasy author, or R.L. Rose to those of you in the romance community. I am joined today by my amazing guest and amazing co-host, and we are really excited about this one. One of us knows him and follows him and loves him, and the other one is so excited to get to know him and listen to his stuff. And I listened to a little clip of his that we did for the podcast, and okay, we're just going to jump into it. Kathy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Kathy Ireland. I listen to mostly audiobooks. I'm a super big fan of the narrators and that world. I also am doing some audiobook project management for production for one of my favorite authors. So that's pretty much me.
All right, guys, a little bit of housekeeping before we introduce our guest. If anyone is interested in having any services that we provide, go check out our Patreon. If you guys want to have your services announced on the show or advertised, please go check that out. And it's a great way to support the show as well. And now we're super excited to introduce Gregory Salinas. Gregory, do you want to kind of tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Gregory Salinas. I'm a narrator. I've been doing this for over 11 years now. I'm primarily in the romance genre. I'm known for my dark romance. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
We may or may not have been counting down the days till we talk to you.
I'm always excited to be here, but I'm always a little nervous. I don't want to let expectations down. So I'm like trying to, think of like great anecdotes and stories. And then I'm like, oh, what have I not told before and such and anything like that. And I'm just trying to make sure that I'm here to have fun with you guys and such.
That
and
is
learn
the main
about
thing. We're pretty chill. We like to have fun.
Well, it's,
oh, yeah.
I mean, one of the funniest things was when Kathy first followed me, I thought she was a bot because, well, I saw Kathy Ireland following me and I was like, isn't that a model from the 90s? I'm like, that's probably fake. Oh, Kathy Ireland.
She's real. She's pretty awesome.
I'm real.
Oh, that's funny.
Maybe almost
You're
the
like,
same as you.
yeah, just use that. Like if you already have a celebrity out there, just piggyback off that.
So I didn't know that, but that's pretty fucking funny. A lot of people don't. It's interesting because a lot of the younger generational people don't even know who Kathy Ireland is. So it's it's always a hit or miss when people actually know.
So I'm totally gonna put myself there. I have no idea who she is. Is she a you said she's a model?
She was a supermodel from, I think, the 90s.
It was the 80s.
80s.
And 90s probably, but yeah. I was a junior in high school, and she was the cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition that year. It was really, that was a rough time for The Ireland.
So yeah, when I saw Kathy Ireland following me, I was like, that's a bot, isn't it? There's
Nope, you finally made it, Gregory. They're following you. The supermodels, they know who you are.
But
Oh, that's
no,
funny.
yeah, but when Kathy Ireland started to message me, I was like, oh, this is a real person.
Real person. That's
Oh, that's
funny.
fun.
You had
Yeah,
never
I
told
like
me that before. I didn't know that. That is hilarious, actually.
he saved it just for this.
Right? No,
He's like, I gotta
literally,
get this
just
authentic
people, like,
reaction.
responding to, inquiries and stuff because they think I'm a bot. Probably. I wonder what I
Yeah.
could put in, like, the subject. Not a bot, or I don't know.
The real Kathy Ireland.
Right.
So you said you've been doing this for 11 years, is that correct?
Yeah.
What kind of drew you into like, hey, I want to be a narrator?
So I don't know if I really knew that this was an option for me. When I had been doing theater since middle school and like seriously like wanting to be an actor and such and everything like that. And I had always had some self-confidence issues about my acting ability and such. I went to a magnet art school and I really wanted to join the musical theater program. But I didn't think I would get accepted into it, and so I auditioned to be a musical theater. I'm sorry, instrumental music major instead, and I got in on guitar instead. But I was still drawn to the musical theater department, and I still auditioned, and I actually got parts even though I wasn't a major, and that was really really cool. And so I was still learning and everything. And then after that, college, I kept on doing stuff. But in college, I was like, okay, I need to like think about a real job or something, that's what everybody was telling me. And I was like, okay, so I started to go with English literature. And I really, really was good at it. I studied it really well. My specialty was in close reading, to identify very, very specific things, like just identifying one word that was used and writing a paper just on that one word. Why was that word important and such? It was really fun, or very, very boring. If you're like the word no, why was it not yes? Just stuff like that. Anyway, but I fell into Great Depression, like really bad depression, and I dropped out of college because of it. And I got a little office job after a while, and I just found out about ACX, and I just put out a demo, and I got a couple callbacks. And ACX is a place where you can put out stuff for authors, can put out some feelers for audiobooks, and actors can try to audition for them. It's a little, what is it called? Audiobook Creation Exchange, I believe that's what it stands for. Anyway, oh gosh, when I don't have it written out for me, I don't sound as grand, do I?
You sound great.
Yeah, it's all right. A writer I am not. Narrator I am. But in the end, I was liking it. It was like it was acting again, and I really liked that. And so 8 months after that, I quit my full-time job and I went for this full-time. It was rough for a while. For the first 5 years, I was making some good money and then not making some good money, and just bouncing back and forth. I was living with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and there'd be months where I wouldn't be able to make rent. And she would cover for me and such and anything. And then 5 years later, I was actually like starting to have consistent work and starting to make a name for myself, I guess. She at that point, she wanted to quit her job and start something new. And I was like, hey, I have the money now. I can support you while you search for your job. And it's like, so that was really, really, it felt good that she was able to help me find my dream, and so I was able to help her find hers. Anyway, that's how I
Who was
was
the
able
first
to.
author that you
The
narrated?
first author I ever narrated for was P.M. Richter. It was called The Necromancer, and it was kind of a crime thriller romance to an extent. This was, of course, 11 years ago, so my memory's a little hazy on it,
You've
and it was
slept
my
once or
first
twice
book.
this time. All right.
Yeah. But I remember I enjoyed it. I remember I was still learning the ropes a lot, and I did everything myself, which I probably, if I could go back, I wouldn't have done everything myself. But I didn't know what I could do and such and everything. I didn't know I could hire an engineer to help me. I didn't know I could hire an editor. I didn't know about these things and such and everything. And so it was a 12-hour book, which was a lot for a first-time narrator. It took me well over a month to record the whole thing because, again, I didn't know how to pace myself and everything like that. But it was a lot of fun, stressful, but it also taught me, hey, I can do this. I know a lot of people can start off and be like, hey, let me try this, and they realize right away if this is for them or not. Because I was still doing it in a closet at that time, and it's hot in there, it's muffled, you're in there alone, and you're just talking to yourself, and it can be daunting just being in there for several hours.
I bet.
So, do you feel like narrating kind of gives you more freedom to act a little bit more like in the role versus because you have an acting background, whereas you kind of knew you were going to be videoed or other people are going to watch you, whereas narration, you don't have to worry about how you look or the video. So, do you feel like there was a sense of like kind of getting more into the role, getting loose a little bit since no one's going to watch you?
Well, all right, so yeah, I don't have to worry about my appearance so much, but feel like I really, really have to put myself more in the scene than if I'm actually there. I really need to visualize it. I need because I'm making this all with just my voice. I need to capture it's raining outside. How does that sound? I mean, you can't see it. We're on a stage. You're not hearing sound effects. I mean, yes, there are some books now with that, but and yeah, sometimes you don't need to go that deep. You don't need to be like, oh, how do I capture this? Or how do I capture that it's morning and I had some milk? But I feel like I'm trying to capture every little essence. Like I said, I have a close reading background, and I really, really try to identify everything that's going on in the script, and I want to bring to life as true as possible what I see in the script. That also kind of colors the book a little bit more than the author maybe intended, though. I'm coloring it a little bit to my tune than originally intended. But for the most part, authors seem to be pretty happy. That's why I try to be as true to them as possible. But the listeners are going to hear somewhat of my interpretation of the book. Sorry,
Well,
I'm
and I
going
think that that's
long-winded.
something, no, I love that because I think that that's something that especially as, we have narrators on the show and we, other people hear how you do, they can feel that kind of stuff and they're like, oh, I want him for my book. And they realize the amount of effort that you put into it. And you could like, authors are great and they have their craft, but you guys have a skill and this is a craft and this is an art too. I was thinking it would be easier, but that totally makes sense how narration without the video and the people being able to see you aspect, you have to give so much more, and that makes total sense. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked that question, but also that opens up my eyes a lot to that.
There are certain aspects where it does become easier. When I've done a duet narration where it's in the same room, that becomes really, really, I would say that's the easiest time I've ever had narrating. I got to do, oh God, what was it? Trick Me Twice by Becca Steele with Stephanie Nemeth Parker. And it was, technically it was same room duet narration, but technically she was in Switzerland. I was in San Antonio, Texas. We were over on Discord, but we were in the same room. We were interacting with each other.
It was real time.
Yeah, and so we were, really responding to each other and everything, and that was really cool. It felt more real. We could, that was one of the easiest to be able to be in the scene, and it was so much fun. And I feel like the performance really resonates with that.
What evolves, or how does that take place? Like, is that something that the author says, hey, we want you to do this? Or do you narrators kind of communicate with each other and be like, hey, let's do this together? I mean, like, how does that unfold? How does that come about? Like the real time duet?
That's a great question. I have no idea.
It just happened.
It's only happened twice for me, and I loved them both, but I have no idea. Dual narration is the one of where I read my chapters regardless where whoever's in the scene, of course, like I'll read my male parts and female parts. And then duet narration is where I only read male parts in every chapter. What am I trying to say? But with costs, originally duet was always going to be like, oh, we're in the same room and we're reading together, and it would be really expensive because you had to pay both narrators the same, not same amount. That sounds bad. It's not, they're not trying to not do equal pay. It's more just if it was a 5-hour book, both narrators would be paid for the 5 hours time, versus, oh, this part, the male's part is going to be only 3 hours, the female part is only going to be 2 hours.
Oh, I see.
And then you'd be paid that. Nowadays, we're going to be in duets. I record it just at home, and I just narrate my parts, and they splice it all together, and it's a little cheaper that way. I still will send samples, be like, hey, this is how I'm planning on doing this scene or whatever, and we can hear back from each other, and you'll still sound really, really good. You can listen to Elle Thorpe's Start a War series, the St. View Psycho series that I did with Michelle Price. I think you'll be really surprised that we're not in the same room. We play off each other so well.
Do you find that, like, working with certain narrators, that you kind of each have gotten to know how the other one would act or would inflect or intone or whatever in a certain scene or whatever, and does that make it easier?
Oh,
In
yeah.
that way, even not just female counterparts, but also, like, because I know that you're in, Lexi C. Foss and Jared Thorne's reverse harems, white shoes romances. So you have like multiple people that you're interacting with. So does that help to kind of work with people that you've worked with over and over again, or everybody has done that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've worked with Kelly Tager. I've worked with a lot of times. Well, I don't think we've done a duet. We've done a lot of duels, which is also important because I'm going to be narrating female parts, and I have to know how she's going to sound so I can
Right.
mimic as best as possible. And she's going to have to mimic my voice on the male parts. And we've got a good feel for each other as well on those things. That's a really good one. But yeah, I know how to play off of her really, really well. Lexi's books. Lexi's is an interesting one. I've read so many of her books now that it's at the point where I kind of anticipate her writing style, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of know what we're going for, the inflection here kind of thing, and that kind of colors it for me.
You've got job security there. You're like any other book that comes out for hers in the future.
That's actually how I first discovered Greg, was with Lexi C.
Let's see. I would not say her writing's predictable. She's
Yeah.
very, very good.
Agreed.
I've got a feel for her. I'm like, okay, I think I know where we're going here. I think I know how you want me to take this scene. And that's kind of how I play it.
That's very intuitive. And I feel like that for an author, I would love that. And be like, okay, every book in the future, you've already got it. So just hang out until I write them. So you said that you went through like a really deep depression and then you switched into the narration after that. did the depression, or did the narration help with the depression, or do you feel like that was kind of like a pulling yourself into a passion kind of situation?
I'm gonna be honest, the depression didn't get better until I got serious help.
Yeah.
Just in mental health awareness, you just, yeah.
This is Mental Health Awareness Month, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is.
Mhm.
I mean, it definitely, I think it helped, just accepting it's like, I'm not going to be happy doing, this other stuff. I really, really want to find the right path for myself. But yes, definitely, if you're having something, go seek help.
Yeah, for sure. And mental health is such a huge thing with any aspect of growth. If you don't work on that, then you're like growing in one area, but it's like just cracking in another, and eventually it's just gonna split.
Yeah.
You're like,
Well,
I can hide it all day long, but
yeah, and I feel that because of the world, the book world, the narration world, like you're pretending to be other people so often that it would be, I would think, pretty easy to kind of just slip into all of these other personas and not really deal with your own, with your,
Without a doubt. That's actually one of the things I always like to say, with dark romance. I use it as a catharsis. Because I'm like, oh, I can live out dark fantasies every now and then and such or anything, and like, and then be like, all right, I'm good. Just and be
got
normal.
that need out.
Yeah, be normal everywhere else and be like, and then get back in the booth like, oh, let's do this, and then
That's awesome. That's like I used to do jujitsu, and it's a very physical and aggressive sport. And I was like, I feel so much better after I just choke somebody for a little bit. So
Yeah,
metaphorically, same for you.
ready for a little bit.
Yes, we don't recommend that. If you want to, seek your nearest jujitsu gym.
Right.
You got my back, Kathy. I would have not.
Always.
I would just kept rolling with the
All the time.
Do you feel like you have to get into, like, if you're having like a really good day, or like very, uplifted, and I know, some of them are still uplifting books, but some of them are very dark, are you like, okay, I got to get in the right headspace to go into this dark book?
not too much. I would say it's definitely easier to be in a good mood and go to a dark book than to be in a dark mood and go into a cheerful book. That would be my honest opinion of
Yeah.
that.
That makes sense.
Because I can be like cheerful, like, all right, we're gonna go kill some people today.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
like, oh no, all right, guess I'm gonna meet my true love. Oh,
Okay, Eeyore.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. That's
So,
fine.
Yeah.
You do a lot of dark romance, actually.
Yep.
So what is there something that draws you to that, or is it just that your voice is because you do have a very distinctive voice, and it's low. And so do you think that like kind of what, gets these growly, cranky, alpha hole types that, authors love to have that voice?
I'm not sure. I was actually trying to think what my first dark romance book was. And I think it would have been a Jane Ryland book. I'm not sure if she would classify it as dark romance, though. It just felt like it was kind of dipping my toe into it, kind of thing. Like her Night is Darkest series, where it had like some like depictions and stuff like that. And it was like, oh, I remember was it Night is Darkest? Can't remember. It was one of her series where it was like, hey, I was like, wow, this was a little rough. She goes, oh, maybe I should put some trigger warnings. I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. And I was like, wow, this was a little rough. But it wasn't bad. It was just like, but I realized I had the stomach for it. And I think that's part of it. You have to have a stomach for it to read it. I don't know if my voice is drawn to it. I just started to notice that more people asked me to be a part of it. And then when I got picked up by more production companies, that seemed to be the go-to thing, that they were like, we want you to be in more mafia or dark ones, serial killer ones. I was like, it's like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. All right, cool. And then after a while, a lot of people started asking me like, is there anything you won't do? And I was like, well, I don't really want to do anything with bestiality. I don't really want to do anything with like pedophilia, or like glorifying pedophilia or stuff like that. And then I found out that Amazon doesn't allow those on like their website anyway. And I was like, oh, well, if that's the case, and it's not even going to be on Audible anyway, I can say, no, I don't have any things that I will say no to. And then I had to clarify that to people. It's like, I don't have anything I'm going to say no to because Audible doesn't already allow them on. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I can imagine. I can like as soon as you said that, I could just imagine people, especially like readers or who don't really know anything about how Audible works. They'd be like, oh.
Yeah. I like that.
I'm
So
down
is there
with that.
anything you won't read? It's like,
Yeah.
no. It's like, no, there's nothing I won't read. It's like, with nothing I won't read that Audible will allow.
Yeah. Audible's got my back a little bit.
Yeah.
But I have listened to one of your, it was a rom-com. I was just pointing it out to a friend of mine. It was a Stop Ghosting Me. Wasn't that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That was so cute. But it was super light and very like kind of a rom-com.
Yeah, I do a couple rom-coms here and there. I love doing rom-coms. I don't get to do them as often as I would like to. But every now and then somebody's like, "Hey, maybe Greg could do a rom-com." I'm like, "Yeah, I could do a rom-com."
Or Blakely, Megan Gwen. Get up, my guy, Greg. So you're
But I actually have been doing more romantasy lately. And that's been something I've been really, really enjoying. I would say I was able to dip my toe into it a little bit, but Laura Horowitz, another great narrator, she's so much fun to listen to, and she has a great TikTok presence, really funny and informative TikToks. I would definitely recommend checking her out. She recommended me for one of the books. I got on one. She liked working with me, so she recommended me to another one. I was like, all right, awesome. And then she keeps recommending me, so it's like, I'm so glad you like working with me.
Can you give a couple of examples?
Of books?
Yeah, they're already out, right?
Yes. Well, one of them is already out, and then one of them is going to be out, but I don't know if I can name
That's
it
fine.
yet.
Yeah, that's whatever you can
Oh.
say.
But the first one is it's Lady of Darkness. This whole series is out already. It's a 5-book series by Melissa Rorich. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. Melissa, and the last name is Roehrrich.
Rich. Sounds
And the Lady of Darkness. It's a phenomenal romantasy. You've got assassin lords, you've got dragons, you've got chosen ones, fated mates. You've got the works. It's just great.
Well, and I bet too, like, in this industry, women and men, you guys both have to get kind of vulnerable whenever it's especially romance is involved. So you kind of get into these characters who get vulnerable and have vulnerable moments. So when a female finds someone that it can, like a male that does a good job and she feels comfortable getting vulnerable in those like back and forth moments, it's like, yes, I recommend him to everybody that I'm working with.
I try to be a really good person to work with. I hope to be.
Well, that says
And-
enough with her recommending you. It speaks for itself.
Good.
yeah, absolutely.
So you were talking about how you have the background in looking into books and stuff like that. Did you, as you read these books that are interesting, especially like the fantasy and stuff that kind of really perks your there's a word, motivation or like inspiration, does it do you ever get inspired to like maybe write a little bit your own or anything like that?
Yes.
Are you just gonna
Do
leave
you
us
want me to
hanging?
elaborate?
She has
You're all leaning forward and you're like,
the book.
that's it.
We don't know.
I actually did used to write, but I used to write plays. And I wrote an actual musical one time in college. In the span of about 2 weeks, I wrote a whole musical. It was a short musical. It only had about, I want to say 15 songs, so pretty short. But I was pretty proud of it. And I actually recently dug it up and was like, hey, does this have any merit? And I was like, oh, it's not bad. And then the movie, The Hitman just came out with, oh, what's that guy? He's really good looking. He was in the Twisters movie.
This could take a while.
Glenn Powell.
Okay.
Glenn Powell.
Oh, Glenn
Yeah.
Powell.
Yeah. No.
I have no idea.
I am so bad with names. My favorite like people that I listen to, like musics and artists, I don't know their names half the time.
Okay.
I'm that bad with names.
Anyway, his movie came out. It was on Netflix. And it had a similar premise. I was like, oh. It's like, well. I was like, well, even though mine was 10 years earlier, I was like, whatever.
Yeah, but you should still totally write it, because this is like something that we talk about in the author world all the time. I can have a core plot line. You can have the exact same core plot line. And when we write it, our style and everything else is going to make it completely different. Like the way that your characters in your head go through stuff, it's going to look completely different.
Mhm.
So we're going to encourage you to still take a shot at it and see what happens.
Maybe I'll take a look at it. It was funny to just look at that, and I was like, whatever. I actually have been trying to write a novel myself right now, or at least a novella. I don't know. I'm very, very new at writing novels. I used to, like I said, I've only written plays before and stuff like that, so I know how to write scripts. But novels is such a different beast. Because so I wrote out all the outline. I know everything that I want to happen and such anything. But padding it out and such and everything, like I've written 5 chapters and I'm like, oh my God.
My brain.
I'm at like about 5,000 words. I'm like, this is awful. No, I mean like well, because I'm just like at this rate I'm gonna end up with like a 12,000 word book. And I'm like, that's not a book. That's a long essay.
It is. So I will say, and I don't know if this helps at all, I will go through the first draft and I will get, some detail in there and stuff, and I'll go back again and really fluff it up the next time I go through. But there are so many different ways to write a book that when you get to the end and you feel like it's not finished, just go back and start again from the beginning.
I'm gonna probably try and do that, but yeah, but I really wasn't sure what I would write for a while, and I'm writing young adult.
I love
So-
YA.
Nice.
Yeah. So
It's
A
we'll
good
see what
YA
happens.
is so good.
I
General
hope-
genre. Is it fantasy or is it contemporary?
Modern fantasy, urban fantasy. I guess. Yeah. I don't want to go too much in detail.
No. Yeah. Absolutely. That's so
uh,
exciting.
It's a pretty original idea. I'm pretty happy about it, pretty proud of it, but
You're like, I'm
I'm-
not telling anybody because I'm not having that happen to me again.
You're like, you already told
no,
people.
I don't know. I have no idea, because I tried another novel a while back that was based on the elevator game that everybody was talking about, and I was trying to make that as a romance thing, and it wasn't bad, but then
Oh, are you talking about that show where they like lower people through this thing and like at certain levels they can eat and as it gets to the bottom? No? Okay.
No, I was talking about the creepypasta one about the elevator game that you if you press a certain order of elevator things, you'll go into a different dimension.
Oh. Okay,
Um,
I like that one better. The other one was a little too scary for me.
Yeah, well, this one's pretty creepy as well.
Shit.
But no, but yeah, now they're making a horror movie about it. I was like, if it's coming out too soon, I'm just not.
Yeah.
I give up too easily on writing.
So you-
That's exciting.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So you did with your first book that you narrated, you did all of this stuff, like the editing and the clipping and everything. Did you like YouTube videos how to do that, or how did you self-teach yourself how to get it ready to produce?
YouTube, and I'm not sure what it was called. It's somewhere on my way old computer that I had. It was like you paid for like videos that wasn't YouTube for specific software. So I'm using Logic Pro X, but at the time I used GarageBand, the free software that came on your Apple. So I paid for things like how to do this on GarageBand, and I had like so many lessons. And so I just watched those and such and anything like that. And that really, really helped. I yeah, I think I paid for like $100 worth of those things, and it had a lot of videos to just how to edit, how to do this, and they were really long, and they probably didn't need to be as long as they were. And just like, here's where the record button, this big little blinking red light. If you click it, it will record your. I was like, yes, okay, all right. Like next to it is the stop button. If you stop
Oh
it, it will
no.
stop. Stuff like that. So it takes a while. I'm like, but you have to watch it because you don't know when it'll get to the part you
You
need.
need.
So you recommend, okay, and I didn't know this either. I mean, Kathy kind of showed me a little bit of the light on this, but you, as a narrator, can just do the voice recording and then kind of send it to editors and producers and that sort of thing. Is that what
Yeah.
is that your process now?
Yeah. Yeah. I just narrate. I don't proof or master my own stuff anymore. I have if I work with production companies or publishers, they have their own teams. So that's already built in. And then if I do independent, I let my authors know, like, hey, if you have your own team, that's awesome. This is how much it costs for my narration. If you don't have your own team, which is fine, that's absolutely cool. This is how much my rate. It goes up a little bit, but that includes my fee is just including my editors. That's how much they're charging. So it's just a little bit more because I use Hillcrest, and they're a great team, and they just proof and master my stuff. I send my audio to them, they do their magic, they send it back to me, I fix any mistakes, I send it back to them, they put it all together, and then they send the author finished audio, and it sounds perfect.
So explain to our listeners the difference, like what does proofing mean? What is that process? And then what does mastering mean? And what does, like, if you don't mind.
Got ya. So proofing, kind of just going through the book, listening to like chapter 1, he walked into the door, and it's like, oh, it's actually she walked into the door. So they'll mark that and be like, hey, you accidentally said he versus she, or vice versa. And they'll mark that, and they'll just send me a note, and I'll get a thing and be like, oh, I just re-record that one sentence, and I just send them that back, and they just put it in the audio and just replace it. Now imagine that more like 50 times to 100 times, depending on the book.
So
Occasionally,
like your second run through is like, it's so just choppy, and like if someone was listening to you, it would be jumping around in so many different sentences that none of it makes sense.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, the next time I go through, it's just an audio file of me just saying random sentences, and then 3 seconds of silence, and then another random sentence, and then 3 seconds of silence, and then I send it back, and then they put it all together. And then they also listen for any mouth clicks or stuff like that just, and they just take those out. And the mastering, it just, they make sure that the levels are right, so it sounds more pleasing to the ear. It's just a little louder or a little softer, and it just meets the specs that Audible needs. Because if it doesn't match the specs that Audible has, they won't publish it. So
That's awesome.
Also, I think this is what I've learned, is that if the recording doesn't match the book of how it's written, you can't whisper sync. It won't
yes,
get whispered.
it needs to be 97%, I believe, accurate. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's good. That's good stuff. I love that. Especially our readers and people who have no idea any back end stuff of this. Explaining that is so awesome to know how it actually works.
Definitely. I was gonna ask you, so you started with that one book, and then you did, kind of worked off and on. Is there one book that was like you feel was really kind of your big moment, or like your major breakthrough book, I guess?
I felt like I kind of like made it, I guess. I don't know. not too long ago when I got Harley LaRue's Her Soul to Take, the series. God, that wasn't even that long ago, I think. When was that? Here, I'm looking at my Audible page. I have it up. I've been like looking at it every now and then when you ask questions so I can
About
like,
different books.
yeah.
That's actually really genius.
It is pretty smart.
Let's see. But that came out in 2022, September 2020. So
Couple
2 years ago. And I remember getting offered that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know that book. I've seen it on TikTok and such and everything. Like, I've seen it go around and everything. And I was like, yeah, I absolutely want to do that book. Put me on it. And it was a sexy demon kind of thing. I was like, yeah, that's right up my alley. Because I love doing those types of books. I feel like I can embody that kind of character really, really well. And I was like, yes. And they told me it's the whole series. I was like, yeah, all right. So I got to do that. And the first book was really good. The second book, the demon was funnier. And so I was like, oh, I get to do him even better. And the last book, he was a little bit more moody, but it was really fun. And it was just great. And Harley, they were just amazing. I was just so pleased that they liked our performance and such and everything. So yeah. But that book, I don't know. I just felt like it's like, wow, yeah.
For
Made
you,
it.
that was like a
Yeah.
big moment for you.
And then when I got Anna Wong's King of Sloth was also another
That's
big
in my
moment.
library. I just haven't listened to it yet, but it is in my library.
I guess when I saw like books at Barnes and Nobles and like Target that like I've narrated on bookshelves, like that's like a big moment. Like I've always been proud of all the books I've done. And I try to collect the books on my bookshelf from book events, or I'll buy them on Amazon, but I don't always see books that I've narrated on bookshelves, and that was kind of a big moment for me to see those. And so I could actually point them out to my parents and be like, you see those books? Those are the ones I've done. So don't read them, but you
Don't listen to them for sure.
don't listen to them. Yeah, no, Mom, don't.
Oh no, yeah. Okay, so that's why you're excited about this fantasy book, because you're like, Mom, you can listen to this one.
Well,
Oh, wait,
there's
no,
still
it's a
some
romantasy.
It's new.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it, a upper YA or something? What is the new
adult.
adult maybe? Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not. You're right.
not. Okay, I have two more questions for you that have been kind of circling in my mind. So do you still play your guitar?
God, I have not played my guitar 4 years.
It's just about to be like, hey, y'all, authors, Greg can play the guitar. And wouldn't
I
that be
probably
cool?
can still play the guitar.
Well, I was wondering how about and sing. You could sing in the guitar in your narration.
I mean, I used to be in like a alternative punk band and such and everything like that.
Really? What was
Yeah.
it?
We were called Neglecting Toby.
My gosh, that is brilliant. I love that name.
Little emo band. Yeah. I had a devil lock and everything. Yeah.
That is
Did you have like your hair swept across your face and
Yeah. It was era appropriate. It was like a devil lock right here.
Yeah.
Dyed red. Yeah.
love it.
I love people who go through their emo phases or never come out of them.
I wish. But yeah.
It's
But yeah.
hilarious.
No, I had the bondage pants and everything, and just yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I'm seeing a theme here. Now I know why you've been drawn into these dark romances.
Throwback to my childhood.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I was starting young.
Do you, as you're reading through the books, do you find yourself like getting excited about the story and like, oh yeah, I need to focus. I'm actually narrating, or do you read through it first and then go through and then narrate?
So I do get excited when I'm reading. So a lot of people ask, do I read the book first? No, I skim. I need to know a couple things. First off, are there any big twists? Do I need to know anything? Am I narrating a bad guy early on and I don't know it? Second, are there accents that I need that aren't mentioned until way later on that I need to know about early? So I'll actually do a viewfinder in the text that says like accents or stuff like that, so I can find real quick if there's any highlights of that. And then third, I'm looking for characters. How many characters and how important are they? So I'm skimming ahead of time, but I do prefer when I'm reading to be a little surprised by certain things. I feel like I get a better reaction out of myself. Some people disagree with this, and that's totally fine. It's just my method. I've been doing this for 11 years. People seem to like it. I'm
not
doing well.
judging you. Yeah.
So,
Nope. If it gives you that, if it puts you into that character mindset where you're like surprised by the action, so you can portray that way, heck yeah.
yeah. But like I said, I'm not going in blind. I'm doing my research. I know about the accents. I know if there's twists. I know certain things.
My question is, so don't you get that information with the packet or with the
Not
from like
everybody provides packets. Yeah. No, it's really nice when people provide packets. If there's an indie project, I usually ask the authors if there's anything I need to know or stuff like that. Romantasy is a one where I really need some information ahead of time, because there's going to be a lot of made up words, a lot of made up names, and I'll usually ask the author for pronunciations from them, like just recorded, even on their iPhone. I need to hear exactly what it sounds like so that I can make sure I'm saying it right.
Yeah, and us
'cause
authors, because like we make up words,
Yeah.
and then when you say them out loud, like I had a nation that I named Mejug, and then my husband, like the narrator's like, okay, I need you to tell me the names of these things, and I was like, it's Mejug, but my husband's like, that is spelled my shoes. When you like how that is spelled out is my shoes. So if I had, we're trying, but yeah.
It's okay. I actually had a really interesting one with a character named Roman, which was actually pronounced Roman, and we had a name pronunciation MP3, and I didn't listen to that one because I saw the name Roman, and I was like, I didn't think if there was another way to pronounce that name. And I got a pickup package, and it was like 80 pickups with just that name. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh, that was my bad. I really messed up. I should have listened. I didn't even think there was another way to pronounce that name. And I was like,
Now you listen to all of them, huh?
yeah, and I was like, that was completely my bad. If there's a sound file that has a name on it, I'm gonna listen to it regardless. It could be Paul or something, and I will, but yeah, I was like, I was like, I am so sorry. That was my bad. We'll do it right.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes just learning by the mistakes, like that left an impression on you to where you will never do that again. Like sometimes just having that mistake, it's like, oh, I needed to learn that. I needed that value of doing it incorrectly.
Yep, and people loved the book, so I'm really glad. It was a great book.
Greg, do you have because as I've been getting more into this community, like the narrator community is very close and is super supportive of each other. Are you a part of like Unrule group? Do you mentor anybody? Like, is that like something that
I didn't know that there was a group.
Oh no.
So,
well, the new kids on the block have groups.
So I feel like I've been not invited to stuff.
To Troy.
No.
You should have come to New Orleans.
I think you've noticed I'm quite shy, and I'm not as active on socials as other people. I try to engage, but when I'm at like conferences and such, I'm very, very social and like going to as many dinners and lunches, and I'm going to see everybody. I'm going to spend as much time as possible with everybody. But that's when it's actually in person. When it's on social, I'm like, I'm so nervous about typing a comment. I'm like, I'm hoping you'll receive this correctly or something. Everything.
Yeah, that is hard. Like, especially when you put it out there and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people who can interpret it a different way. And you're like, okay, this is the way I meant it. You don't get that opportunity when you're not in person.
I just want to say, hey, what's up, you bastard?
I didn't mean it like you think. Yes, I did.
Yeah, totally did.
So, yeah.
I get it though. Social media is a pain in the ass. Like, why do we have to market ourselves? Why do we? I mean, I know why, but
Yeah.
it's just exhausting, and you have to think about the new trends and how are you coming off to the general public, and it's a lot.
I know. I say I hate it, but I'm scrolling through it all the time anyway. Just like, oh,
Love
hate
hate.
it. Oh, like that.
But I think the romance, the listeners, like the people that are listening to the books, are a little, I mean, they're very, very loyal to their favorite narrators. And I mean, in the like groups that I've seen, and I do the same thing. Like I tag you, I tag my favorite narrators when there's, goofy questions like, what's your top 5 narrators or whatever. I list like 10. But but I think you're very smart in like engaging and responding to people when they do that, because the other listeners or other fans or whatever, like they see that and like, oh, he's actually watching, and engaging in that. So I think it's super smart that you do that.
Oh, good. I worried that came off as arrogant. It was like, yes, like me.
No, no. I think I mean, I don't think so. I think you absolutely should do that.
Got ya. Like I said, I'm always nervous. When I'll ask my wife when somebody comments is like, hey, is that okay to like that, or like I just want to make sure. Like,
I can tell you that it is always okay to like it, because one, and I'm speaking from like a consumer point of view, right? One, I'm spending money on, listening to your book, and I'm taking the time, like I care enough about it and like it enough and like you as a narrator enough to tag you, to recommend you to a bazillion other people. Hell yeah, it actually is like, so wow, he said that. That's very nice of him to thank me for that. Or, I mean, just even to just part it, like, I mean, so I 100% would encourage you to continue to do that.
That's really cool. No, I've only been recently, not recently with you. I appreciate your love and support. But I've been like seeing more and more posts and like tagging like, oh, this is really cool. I like that. Or I'll try to engage with the comments and such and everything. And like I said, it's very, very out of the comfort zone for me. So.
Oh, glad I could push you out of your comfort zone.
But I'm
Gentle
trying.
shove,
right?
Now, so tell us, do you have any like funny moments or moments like as you were going through when you're in the recording booth? Are you like talking, like, is there anything funny happening there?
In the booth itself, not really. Well, I mean, stuff has happened. When I was in an apartment, this was quite a while back. I want to say 6 or 7 years ago. I was still in an apartment and I was still using a closet to record out of. But we didn't use it for clothes. We had put acoustic foam. I mean, we really converted it to like an isolation booth, and it gets really hot in there. So I was recording in my underwear and such and anything, and I was getting into a really intense scene that was pretty sexual, making some weird grunts and such and anything. And all of a sudden I heard somebody go, hello? And like, oh God, like I said, hello? He goes, hey, it's maintenance. And I say, oh, hey, can you give me a second? He goes, hey, I'm out here. You can just come on out. And he goes, I'm in my underwear. And he goes, oh, okay. So I'm getting out and I change. And he goes, all right. And I'm just here to check the fire alarms. So that was really awkward. And
I like how you're like, no, I don't have anything funny. And then that is, oh my God, that's fantastic.
There was another time where I was actually I was quite sick. But I was recording, I was still recording. My throat sounded okay, but I was stuffed up and I was blowing my nose constantly. I was like really, really sick. And I had my booth and I was leaving tissues on, like used tissues on my desk in the booth, and I was like, oh, I don't feel well. Anyway, I had started laying down, and my mom came over to bring some soup and such anything, and she goes, oh, I'm really, really, I want to take care of you. So she goes, here, I'm going to clean up some. And she went into my booth and she goes, well, I know what kind of books you're reading. And looking at my desk with the used tissues.
No, on purpose. That was the plan. You said that anything funny on purpose.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Oh. I like that you have that relationship with your mom, though, where she's like giving you shit about it. Most parents would be like, didn't see nothing, ain't saying nothing.
Oh, no. My mom, growing up, my mom would make the rudest We still joke that every dinner conversation, me and my sister say that she will always talk about a penis at some point. Every dinner conversation. We just wait for it. She'll bring it up. That's the wrong word to use. Bring it up.
Oh, that is so funny.
Is need to make a drinking game out of that or something.
It's so, we're just like, why?
So, okay, so to expound on that a little bit, but to take it in a little bit of a different direction, you're
going to expand on the penis?
No. That does it all its own. Oh, on the funny things like that happen or whatever, like, when you're recording and you're reading something and you like to be surprised, and then he does something and you're like, what the fuck? Why did he do that? Or, like, do those moments come up and then you like say shit and then you have to read whatever?
I'm pretty good about not breaking character at the time. However, at the end of the chapter, I will get mad at something, and I will. I've had a point where I'm like, I'm gonna write a strongly worded email to this author and be like, what? Like, I want to work more with you, but what the hell?
Don't worry, readers are doing the same thing. If you're having a reaction to it, that's probably on purpose.
Oh, but yeah, no.
That's
no, I'm sure it's like, yeah, I'm like, that definitely was a good to have that reaction. But yeah, I was like, oh, but yeah, no, you do well.
I think a lot of people think like, I wanted to write the author and say this or that, and then a lot of people don't. I encourage people to do that. I would love for people to message me and be like, I'm pissed that this character did this, and I'll be like, good.
Yeah, or the crazy like fantasy ones, like Jen Thorne just posted on her Facebook that somebody was like making comments to one of her posts about Their Lethal Pet, which is her latest book out. But like they were like, oh, this is just porn, and this is just how could they have a vibrating penis or whatever? I mean, and she's just like, that is like a one click for a lot of people. So.
No, I'm just like, you used a colon when you should have used a semicolon. Oh, no, I'm just like...
Yeah, maybe not message them about that, but
no,
I love talking about my characters.
No, it's definitely been plot stuff that's happened. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, there's definitely been. It was definitely Elle Thorpe, and I got to talk to her at Denver. And I definitely don't want to spoil anything. But I did 6 books with her, and there was a character, and I was like, and it happened at the end, and I was like, how is this character still alive? And I was like, I was shocked, and I told her, I was like, I couldn't believe this, and she goes, yeah, I don't know. I was like, I mean, I loved voicing him, but I was happy to voice him some more, but he should be dead.
Should be dead. You have almost 500 books?
I actually do have over 500 books. So Audible on Gregory Salinas, it's like 488 or something like that. But then with my pseudonym, there's like 10 more, and then with stuff that has been delisted, there's more.
There's more out there. Nice. 31.
Oh, nice.
On
So you
You
need
got a
to
ways to
start
go.
getting collecting. Yeah. No.
ways to go. I need more.
Yeah, she's a narrator collector.
I am.
Wait, who's the most you have?
I don't know. I think might be Connor.
Connor Crace.
Okay. That's a fair one.
Yeah. Let's see.
Now he's the one who did that book you sent me, right? That wasn't Gregory.
Cooking God, yes. So yeah, I have 59 of his. But I also get you guys on Chirp, and if people like listeners don't know about Chirp, I highly recommend as an audiobook listener to use Chirp in conjunction with your Audible, because you can get audiobooks for 99 cents, $5, like amazing prices. So I actually go, and in Chirp I follow my favorite narrators and a couple of authors, and then I'll go pretty much wish list everything that they have there, because then I'll get a notification when it goes on sale. And so then I can, before I buy it in Audible, I'll go to Chirp and see which price is better, those. So I would definitely recommend that you guys use that in conjunction to Audible.
Yeah. I've looked into it. It's definitely another tool. I love audiobooks. I love reading books, but I am dyslexic, and it's frustrating how slow I read books. So, and like audiobooks, I listen to them at double speed. So it's not that I can't consume it at that speed. It's just the words hate me. And I've fallen in love with listening to, and I tell this Kathy all the time, I think narrators are my favorite people. Like, you guys bring these characters to life in a way that makes them so much more real than just reading the words.
It's fun.
Agreed.
It's fun.
And it's such a great thing, because so many people, we can listen to audiobooks. We can't read while we work, but we can listen that way while we work if we have a job that we can do that. And so that's really how I really just dove into audiobooks, because I was working remotely. And so I could listen while I worked. Super easy. So, I mean, I would listen to probably 2 a week.
Now, Gregory, do you read as well? Do you, like, as an enjoyment side of things, do you read or do you listen to audiobooks?
I do listen to audiobooks. I kind of need to keep an idea of like what else is going on, hear what other people are doing, how to do things a little bit better, how to do things differently, keep competitive, to be honest. I should be like listening because I like it and enjoy it. I'm just talking about like, how do I stay competitive?
Well, do you ever listen to something you're like, I could do that better?
I do not try to think that way. I just try to listen to like that's different. So I think there's been times where I thought I would have done that differently. I don't know if I would say I ever think I would have done that better.
That's fair.
Yeah. I feel like
That's
if
awesome.
if you get into the thing of better, then you start to get into arrogance, and then you start to get into that wrong mindset. And
You do
Yeah,
a lot of
no.
different accents,
do I what? Sorry.
like British accents or
Oh yeah, I
Scottish
do
or
accents. So I do British accents. My mom's British. She's from England, London
Really?
area. Yeah. And then my dad's Mexican. So yeah. So I've been raised with 2 accents. So
And you, at least you are talking right now like you have neither one, and you're just plain Jane. That is pretty
Yep.
impressive that you didn't pick up either side.
nope, born and raised from Texas. So
And you don't have a Texas accent either.
No.
Dang.
no, howdy y'all. No.
That's Kathy's thing. You can't take that.
yeah.
But no, I kind of had a half accent when I was first growing up, because my mom and her sister were kind of raising me when my dad was working a lot, because he had a new family, and so he was like working like crazy, so I didn't see him that much. But so her and her sister were both British, and and so I had a bit of like a half accent for a while, but as grew around more Americans obviously lost it and just had more of an American accent. But I know how to use it and I know how to do it. Specifically a London area accent. That's the one I grew up with hearing. But I just did a book with an Irish accent, light Irish, Dublin area. So that was pretty cool. What else? I've done books in Australian accent, Scottish. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of anything else.
Do you do any Russian? Because a lot of the mafia are
Russian.
Russian.
Russian, yes, I have done Russian. Those are probably my main ones I've done. Ones I can do for side characters are different. Like German, I can do for side characters.
It's not a lot of lines or whatever.
Yeah, Italian as well for side characters. French is one of my hardest for some reason. I don't know why I have such a hard time with French.
Especially since you speak Spanish. Do you speak Spanish?
I do not speak Spanish, unfortunately. Okay. I want to, but I don't.
Do you have on your whenever people go to hire you, do you have a list of accents that you can do? Is that something that the narrators do?
On the production companies and publishers that I work with, yes, they're listed. But not on my website, which I probably should do for independent contractors. So yeah.
When you go from I know you do heavily dark or romance, but whenever you go to more of the rom-com or back and forth, do you have to kind of get yourself into a mindset like that, or how do you handle that shift between the very drastic changes?
When I do dark romance, wow, I don't know what this says about me. I don't have to do a thing to get myself into the mindset. I'm just there. Hey, wow. It's really
thanks for that, ladies.
When I'm doing rom-coms and such, I actually have to kind of prep myself okay, all right, I have to I usually take a second to read the chapter and kind of put myself into that space and then go back and be all right, we're going to read this and we're going to narrate it. And I take a moment and take a breath and such, but dark romance, I'm just all right, let's just dive on in. I don't know why, I just feel at home.
You're passionate about it too. You can totally tell that that's your passion, is that area. So that makes total sense. I don't think it's anything that you have to look too internally deep on unless you want to.
Let's not think about that.
Keep that box closed. Yeah. No, it's very clear you're passionate about that, and that's okay too. Some people love the horror, stuff, and some people enjoy, the murder mystery, and sometimes it's just what we enjoy.
I just did a murder mystery horror dark romance.
All
in one package.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll be listening to that one.
This one, huh? You don't want to listen to that one?
I don't do horror. I can't do the scary stuff.
This one's intense. Yeah, it was. I was whoa. I probably can talk about this one while it's not out yet. I don't think the author's gonna have a problem with it. Her name's S.K. Prince, and it's called Twist Me.
That sounds very familiar. I feel do we have her coming on the show? That sounds so familiar.
S.K. Prince.
Oh, but Twist Me does sound familiar.
Yeah. It's been on TikTok and such and everything. It's set in an asylum for kind of the criminally insane, and a cop goes there undercover trying to figure out why people keep dying there. And
that sounds so familiar. I feel
and there's some sexy brothers there that take a special interest in her.
Is it a multicast, or do you do all of the brothers?
I do all the brothers.
That definitely sounds like something I've heard before. So I'm the same way. I can't listen to that kind of stuff. My mom raised me on
it's
horror
so good.
shows, and I can't.
It's so good. So I'm just letting you know. So anybody who's listening,
maybe I'll listen to it during the day because I can't listen to that shit at night.
The spice scenes are very creative.
Yeah. Well, me and Kathy, we've talked about like if it's scary to us, that's almost like a green flag for the people who like that kind of stuff. They're like, oh, I bet you it's nothing. Let me go listen to it.
True.
It's very interesting. I don't think I had read a book like it before. So
That's exciting to hear, especially someone who's like, you have essentially read 500 books, you know, whether you haven't read at all before or after that, 500 books. That's pretty impressive.
yeah. I always talk about how when I was growing up I read Goosebumps a lot. I loved Goosebumps. And even in high school that was like what I was still reading. And then at the end of high school I started reading Anne Rice's Sleeping Beauty, The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty. So I jumped from Goosebumps to hardcore erotica right off the bat. No in between books really. I guess one Stephen King, but yeah.
Now, did your wife read too?
Yeah, she reads a lot. She reads a lot of mystery books, but she does read some romance. She really liked, was it Holly Jolly Meet Cute? Or I can't remember. That was a really good one. Was it Sierra Simone who wrote part of it?
I think so.
Yeah. But yeah, she really likes that one. She likes Christmas themed, but she's a big AO3 person who loves anything with Pride and Prejudice fan fiction. She reads so many of those. Just, yeah.
Does she ever like have books that she's like, I wish you would narrate this one, or yeah, like?
She doesn't listen to audiobooks. Well, that's
gotcha.
not true. She doesn't listen to me.
Is that something that she's like told you like, no, I don't want to, or is it just?
I don't know what it is. She really only listens to audiobooks when she's in a book club and she's behind on listening to the book. So she needs to catch up.
Yeah. I can imagine there could be a sense of like listening because you're very romantic in those scenes. So I can imagine that could be potentially like, I don't want to listen to that because that's my husband's voice talking about. But then on the other side, like that could be very fun. So I get it both ways.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she just hears me talk enough.
And not so meet cute. Oh, I might not be able to see it. Was that it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so meet cute.
Listen to that one now. Yeah. It's Megan Quinn. She's hilarious.
So you did competitive Street Fighter 2 arcade games. Are you like a big video game person or was?
I was, and I've gotten back into it now. In fact, me and my wife were playing Borderlands 3 recently, playing it a lot. I actually still play Street Fighter and Tekken. I love fighting games. I'm not a competitive competitive gamer anymore, though. I haven't been for a while.
But you were a competitive. Yeah,
when I say competitive, it was just local stuff, like just a local arcade, where it just like had like little matchup set up for like the kids who just signed up and everything. But I mean, I still won a few matches, so I get to say, competitive.
Yeah.
Did you get back into Borderlands because it's coming out? And are you excited about the movie that's coming out?
I'm so excited about the 4th game coming out. I didn't see the movie, but I'm excited.
I don't think it's out yet.
It is.
Is it?
It's already on. It's already on streaming. It didn't do well in the theaters.
Oh, that's the one with like Jack Black as the voice of the robot, right? Yeah. I'm actually really excited to watch that.
I still want to see it.
Yeah. Now, did you ever play like Arcane?
No.
No. The League of Legends, that sort of thing? No. Yeah.
No,
that one was a good series.
I'm a little more basic.
That's
I wonder if like that affinity for it's still like techie stuff, right? Like, so you were doing that before you started your narration, so it kind of maybe made it a little bit easier for you to self-teach yourself.
Maybe. I think the stuff that made it easier was my music background.
Yeah, my husband was telling me about in video games. Like, have you ever considered like being a narrator for video games and stuff?
Oh, yeah, I'm actually doing all I can to eventually get there. So I'm really, really doing lessons and trying to meet the right people and such anything. It's a long process.
You should talk to Samantha Brim more about that. You need to talk to Samantha Brim more.
I know.
Doesn't she do it?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, she.
Yeah, he was telling me about how like they will when they record them, like you have to do just recordings of like making jumping sounds or like yeah, like just different variations of just like the action noises over and over. That's something he wants to do. That's a passion of his. So what are you working on right now, or what is the project that's coming up for you?
Oh, let's see. So I just finished up projects. I am starting a new project tomorrow, which I can't talk about, unfortunately. But it is romantasy. I can say that. Very excited about that. But I can talk about some of the stuff that's coming up or stuff that just came out. So let's see. By Sin to Atone just came out by Natasha Knight.
I like how you're surprised about that. I
Well,
love it.
I don't know. I don't know when certain things come out. I
Yep.
I hope I get tagged in certain things, but I don't always see everything. Let's see. But that is a Forced Proximity Secret Society romance. It's a duet series. Duet by meaning two books, not duet narration.
Oh, okay.
It's dual, and it is book 1 that just came out, and I did it with Mackenzie Cartwright.
Oh, she's good.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's somewhat of a dark romance. It's definitely a secret society. It's really, really fun, and I don't know how to describe it.
Well, here's a picture of the book.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. And then Tainted Saints also came out by Rosalie, and that one was a pretty fun one. That was an interesting one because I actually had 3 characters to do, and I really love it when it's a reverse harem and I get to do all the male characters. It stretches my acting chops and also like my voices. Because it's not just voices. You need to make sure that you're giving them unique character, like feels with
Personality.
yeah. But each one had a different accent as well.
That makes it a little easier.
So they're different. So they're like not related. So it's not like it's like 3 totally different people.
Yep.
They got related.
No, they're not related. So that makes it a little better, I think.
Yeah.
Here's the picture for this one, y'all, for people to see.
Nice.
It's a reverse harem.
That is a reverse harem. Yeah. But let me see. I'm trying to think of like all the stuff that I do. I'm so bad about this. And then I should talk about so Wanderlust is coming up in San Antonio. It's a smaller book conference, book event. But it's really, really good. I'll be there with 3 other narrators, Gideon Frost, Tracy Odom, and Allie Martina. And Nikki Ash will be there, and one of her books just came out.
When is that conference going to be? That's a good question, huh?
Huh?
We are keeping you on your toes, Greg. He's
He's
pulling it up, and I'm pulling up the.
It's Saturday, October 12th, and there are a few tickets left. Apparently, I didn't know that, but yeah, it's October 12th, Wanderlust, San Antonio.
Am I looking? Oh, October 12th. No, I will be camping that weekend.
Camping that weekend.
I know.
Maybe
How can I make all this work?
But yeah, Nikki Ash will be there, and she just had a book of mine come out, or one of her books that I'm on came out, that I narrated with Heather Costa, called Hooked on You. And let me make sure, because I did a couple of her books recently, so I need to make sure which one this one is. Single dad meets a struggling single mom, age gap, nanny romance. And I
Heard of
remember
the Love
that
and
one.
Whiskey series?
It is, but it is standalone as well. So yeah. Yeah, I remember reading that and I didn't realize it was part of the series when I was narrating it. It's like, oh, I'm not missing anything. This is good. So yeah. I've worked with Nikki Ash for a while, so all her books have been pretty good. Actually really good. But yeah, I'm just sorry, I get all nervous talking about the books I've done.
You are fine. Yeah, no, that was great.
That's what we're here for. We'll pull it out.
Yeah, We gotcha.
But
Um,
yeah.
So if anyone wants to hire you or follow you or do anything like that, where do they go? Where do they follow you?
So my website is gregorysalinas.com. Just gregorysalinas.com. So that's probably the best place to like find me. Then there's Instagram is also a great place, which is voice.of.greg. My TikTok is voice of Greggles. And then Facebook is Gregory D. Salinas. Those are all my handles. I think that's all my social medias. I don't have TikTok or Twitch or whatever it is. I don't have Twitch.
X.
Twitter or yeah, whatever it is. X, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, I said I knew what you were talking about because you said Twitch and I said X, so we were on the same
There we
page,
go,
just
yeah.
different wavelengths.
But I don't have Twitch either.
Yeah.
Nice. That's exciting. Do you go to a lot of the conventions?
Yeah, I try to go to at least 2 a year. Sometimes about 3. I'm also going to Villains and Vixens and Kiss and Tell coming up. Both of those are in Dallas. Different days, of course. Like 9 months apart, I think. I can't remember exactly. But Villains and Vixens is shaping up to be quite a bit of narrators there.
Ooh, maybe I'll have to come out for that one.
So yeah.
Do you have a date on that one?
I'm sure I do.
We'll come up. We'll go to that one together, Randy.
Yeah, Dallas is not far from me.
Mm-mm.
Let's take a look at that is September 5th and 6th, 2025.
We can get in there as
Yeah, maybe. They might already have all that closed out though. Some things are so far in advance.
Well, it's about a year ahead, so hopefully.
Yeah, no, I love this. I love making all the connections with all these different conferences. I had no idea that was a thing until just this year.
It's I've been really enjoying the conferences. I really love it when there's a lot of narrators there because it's fun because like they're my colleagues and I get to meet my coworkers because I don't always get to meet them. I'm in what is called an isolation booth all the time.
well, and even the authors too. Like,
Oh yeah. But I do get to interact with more authors than not at a lot of the conferences. So like when I go to them, that's who's usually there, and I get to meet a lot of them. It's just every now and then there'll be a conference with a lot of narrators. I'm like, yay, I get to meet you guys.
So and I'm just trying to help other people who attend the conferences. If they don't have what's the best way to, because people want to get your autograph and all that kind of good stuff. So what is the best way to do that? Let's say they don't have necessarily a copy of all of the books that you did. What do you normally recommend to your people to do?
I've seen some really creative stuff. I've seen some people bring journals, and they'll have a picture of a book that I've narrated and under it something for me to sign. I personally have made fake CDs that have an in-slip of the book I've done, and I sign those now. They were just for me to have and to display, but people like them, so I've started to give them away now.
Such a smart idea.
I know. I love that. I
loved it when you did that for wherever you went the last time when you did that. It was amazing.
Well, I've actually been trying to get the authors to sign them and my co-narrator, so that's a complete set. So I've been doing those for giveaways now, except I've not done any giveaways. So I just have them.
That's a great idea, Greg. You need to run with it.
But yeah, yes. So it's like completely signed by everybody.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
But
I call my books my audiobook trophies because I get them after I read the book, so I'm just like, but I would love to have that.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of things. I personally would love to see the CD trend take off. I would love to see other people make their own CDs and bring them and have them signed.
Yeah, because what do narrators bring? Do they bring anything normally? I know Tor has like lip balm or something.
Yeah, his balls. That's what he calls it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Some people bring candies, some people bring some swag. I've seen lip balm, I've seen some hand sanitizer. I had some stickers for a bit. I don't know what to bring. I don't know what people want. What's considered good and what's considered trash. Like, what am I gonna give you that you're not gonna just toss?
Stickers are always good. Like eyeglass, the little eyeglass cleaner.
Wipes, things,
You know what
the
I'm saying?
little
It's like the little piece of fabric.
microfiber. Yeah.
Yeah. That's always really, really good. Pens with I got the one that I went to in Cape Canaveral. Pens with the little part that you can do your Kindle, with like the little sponge.
Oh, yes. With a stylus thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Magnets too. By the way, I personally love magnets because stickers. I mean, I love stickers, but
They're permanent.
but yeah, they're like, yeah, you can't transfer that if you change out your laptop or whatever. And so I personally would highly recommend magnets.
Got you.
Yeah. No,
Nice.
I love the CD thing though. I hope that takes off too, because that is
Amazing.
I could literally just frame some CDs up on the wall, and yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. When you first told me about that, I was like, that is brilliant. Like, how many people have like boxes of CD cases?
Oh,
They like don't want to throw it away.
I just bought some. Just bought some from Amazon that were really cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, no one uses them anymore.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Gregory, you were amazing. This was fun. You were so much better than what you were like. I'm nervous. You were great.
Oh,
Like,
thank
that
you.
was perfect.
It was
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to our amazing episode with Gregory. He was an awesome guest, and I hope you guys tune in to our next episode. Have a good one.
All right, bye.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us on this episode of Lemon's Listening Library. Remember, every story has a journey, and every journey deserves to be heard. Keep reading, keep writing, and keep listening.